The first thing I do, I open up a paint tube when I haven't used in a while. This happens. Shit. Alright. Oh, ain't that lovely. It'll be coming off in a while. Alright, well, that's a great way to start something. Well, let's continue, shall we? I'm gonna try and work on the background a bit, if you could call it. And again, that's not black, that's white. So, excuse me for the hand. It's gonna be like that for a while. But yeah. That paint got everywhere. Got on my headphones. Shit. Oh, it is what it is. Oh, we'll keep going. I want to try and go for a and just a I'll start with just a black background, maybe not solid black, but something close. Get more of the Halloween vibe in there, not just a one-to-one recreation. We'll try and play it up a bit. Not quite sure what full direction I'm going to go, but I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to try just black. See where we go from there. Actually, hey, it's not off to a good start. That's alright. I'm just gonna give it a decent black cover. I'm thinking maybe some orange in places. Maybe like some creepy hidden face in the background. Something weird like that. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe a starry sky type something or other. Oh, speaking of, I still need to put that on for the see their moon pic. Oversight on my part, I guess. Big old large empty swaths of space tend to go fairly quickly in the painting process. Not really all that complicated, but different change of pace, I guess. And as it is, I don't think this piece will take all that long. It's not a horribly large amount of detail needed. No like super intricate dresses or all sorts of miscellaneous details. So, but I've got a good chance of it being done quickly. At least that's my hope, anyway. God, I really do need a better lighting condition. This is not the best, but see what I got. Looks like maybe even some like purple in the back of it. Hello, hello. So just not doing too much today, just kind of chilling out a bit. Apparently there was a debate last night, but I haven't watched it. I'm gonna watch a recap or something later, maybe, if I feel like it. But yeah, I did a small bit of painting afterwards, namely the shoes. And that's not quite the right color. I was reusing with some of the color I had before, just to give it a bit more of a base coat. I know hers are a lot brighter than that. I'm going to be working towards it. One of the other things is she doesn't quite have an outline. She's got a very thin pen outline type of thing. Not really a paintable one. So we'll see how that works out. Alright, there we go. But yeah. If you got any suggestions on a decent background concept, let me know. I'm just kind of filling it in right now, trying something a bit different. Trying for a black. Seeing if that gets something maybe Halloween spooky related. Will pop up. Or something. After all, Gaap does also have all those black portals into the abyss of demons. What? I forget the actual name for what her stuff is. Alright, so one of the things about this character is I don't really have a picture I can easily pull up for you, but she's got a ginormous tail. It's like almost bigger than she is. Well, probably is actually. And it's bright pink, which was kind of a bit of a. I couldn't quite figure out how exactly to incorporate it effectively, because realistically speaking, her spinning this way, like the kick coming around like that, the tail would be right where this viewpoint the camera is, technically speaking. So her pose here is technically illogical. Well, not unless it was standing still and she just decided to do that. I don't know. I'm not quite sure how to do that. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And the other ones is she has a tail, therefore Gaap's dress would have to be a little different. Or you just pull one of those it's always there type of things. Because the tail comes out right here, right above the backbone, the tailbone. Because that's where the tail comes from. Doy. But as such, it would probably be coming out from underneath the dress, which doesn't quite work. So I have to think on that a bit, because I really do hate it when I notice that shit in other artworks where a character has, like, for instance, like angel wings or bat wings or something coming out of the back, and they're wearing just a normal t-shirt, and it's like, how are they wearing that shirt? That's not how any of that should work. But that's, I like trying to think of things logically, seeing how things would work and how they could interact properly. And having a dress and a tail is kind of one of them. Or like sitting down would be a weird one. I saw one a while back on a it was a lamia, I believe, half person, half snake. They're wondering, how do they sit down? Which was a neat concept in of itself, because as a snake, they go around on the belly. The well, if you think of them as like a they've got like green or red coloring on the back, and then on the bottom it's all yellow. That yellow part is what they crawl around and move on. That's the part that hits the ground. So if the lamia were to sit down like a normal person, they would basically sit on their back to sit down. But if they're to sit down like they naturally would, they would be sitting backwards. And so it's a weird thought process, like, yeah, how would that work? When you start noticing that stuff, it's kind of interesting. And sometimes it's, yeah, okay, whatever. But other times it like annoys me really badly. Can't quite explain why. Because sometimes it's just like, you gotta give the author credit. They can only do so much. They're human. They can't solve every fictional problem that exists. But then there's the ones who just make no effort whatsoever, and they just like have features or things just be that way because they were lazy or didn't feel like trying. But it's when you actually put in that little bit of effort to go and showcase that little bit of effort, a little bit of desire to get it right, that makes it a little bit more worthwhile, I think. Personally, anyway. And this painting session went a lot faster than I thought it should have. I'm like already done with painting the background, which took me 10-15 minutes. Shit. Expecting to take a little bit longer anyway. Maybe I'm just getting better at it, or maybe I just don't have to worry about all the fine details shit. Oh. And just by itself, no. Potentially. It depends on the character. It's just generic anime girl with generic fluffy tail. No, I don't really care one way or the other for it. But if there is a character who, story-wise, it's like a reason. Like there was what was it? The Shield Hero movie. Not movie. A Shield Hero anime, and he had the partner Raftalia. That was a good character, and I liked her, and I believe she had a tail. And so it's just the I'm not one to just care about somebody if they have some superficial aspect to them. The superficial stuff adds to their character that's already there. Like, you could have generic anime character, and then generic anime character with a tail, and I treat them about the same. But if you give an actual story to them, that's when they become really impressive. And then the tail would add to that, if it made sense, story-wise. And not just like, I was living my normal everyday nerd life, and all of a sudden some fluffy anime chick entered my life. Ta-da. It's like, why? They just did that just to pander to shit. I guess that's the word. I don't like the pander aspect of a lot of anime. Pandering is really annoying. For me personally, because it's just, in essence, it boils down to, we are doing this solely so people will like us, not because the character or the story or the world needed it. Which is frustrating. I like a good world building session. Oh, the Shield Hero is a good one. It's the dude was there. That world had rules and settings and reasons for things to be the way they were, but and they followed some of those rules. They mixed it up every so often to do miscellaneous things, but have they come out with the second season of that yet? I don't know. That was kind of like a one-hit wonder. As are, I guess, a lot of anime, but it's, yeah, the just, well, on this subject, it's just because some character is wearing a costume or some character looks some way, I'm not immediately impressed with them or attracted. Even though I do have some preferences for style. I prefer the fictional fantasy over like sci-fi. In general, it's not to say I don't like sci-fi, but I think you know what I mean. Everybody has tastes of some sort or the other. But I guess one aspect of things I kind of like are beast races. Not like furry, those get really weird, but like a lizard man, a minotaur, but sentient and not just some mindless monster. I find those pretty interesting. Another one would be Argonian from Skyrim, Khajiit, stuff like that. Tauren, that's a good one from Warcraft. They're kind of, or like maybe like beastly werewolves. There's something interesting about being like not just human with like fuzzy ears or something like that. They are their character on their own, of sorts. One moment. On that matter, you asking me if I like anime girls with fluffy tails? Do you? Or any other type of cliches or characters or some such that you like? I also tend to like just I don't know, I tend to like fantasy type stuff more so than modern or self-insert type shit. But there's one, I guess, trope, maybe, I guess is the word for it, of like sentient things that shouldn't or aren't considered sentient, like a robot gaining a soul, or like a golem being transplanted a soul, a suit of armor that gains sentience, shit like that. I always find it pretty interesting. Oh. And yeah, it's not to say I don't like fluffy tails. I'm kind of impartial to if it's there or not. But yeah, it's any particular character or so that you're interested in fluffy tails wise. Yeah, there are a fair amount of like just oddities that I don't quite fully understand. I can see it as like, yeah, somebody can enjoy that. Well, one example would be maids. Maid outfit is kind of alright. I can appreciate the detail or the aesthetic of them, but I don't quite get how fanatical some people can get over some of that stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But it's not like, oh my god, that's amazing. It's just a maid. Oh, for example, anyway. But to each their own. Today's been a weird day, and it only just began. Oh, you missed it. I opened up the paint tube, and it just, like, splattered right in my hand when I was trying to put it on the palette. It's, a weird day. Oh. Speaking of days, yeah, there was, yesterday was awesome. Yesterday, I was working on a, lady's phone. It's an S20 Plus. Big ol' expensive phone. Newish model of some sort. And the screen got cracked. It's like, alright, I can fix that. Order up a new screen and put it all together, right? I've done that a million times before, but not necessarily for this model. I do that, I get it all transferred over. But, Helpful Fox Senko-san. Might have to look into that. Oh, look that up, rather. I've not heard of that one. I probably should have, I think. I have the feeling I might know about it, but I've not heard that name. Not ringing any bells. But, oh yeah, my story. So this lady dropped off her phone. She ordered the part, and it was a $250 cost for the part. She ended up paying like a total of $450 to get the whole thing repaired. Very fluffy. Very fluffy. I'll take your word for it. I'll look into it later. But yeah, she paid like $450 to get this phone repaired. And I did it. I got it back up and running. But she comes back a little while later. Apparently my front camera isn't working. Oh, alright, maybe a wire got unplugged while I was putting it back together or something. Things like that occasionally happen. So I said, oh yeah, just come back and I'll have it ready for you. Pull it apart, only to find out that for this phone model, the screen isn't just a piece of glass, it's the frame itself. So in order to put a new screen on, I have to take literally everything out of the phone and put it into the new frame of the screen, right? And then have it go together. But this one apparently has a camera that's glued into the frame, and so that piece was bad. It wasn't that the camera was unplugged. I had it plugged in properly. It's that the one that was in there wasn't working, which was just wonderful. So I have to take out the old one and put in the take out the new one and put in the old one because the old one works. So I got to working at that, but that thing is glued in there, like literally they put glue around it to keep it in place, which is really stupid. I got one out, and I got the new one out, put in the old replacement one, put it all back together, turn around, turn it on, and lo and behold, I cracked the glass that was underneath the camera because I had to pry it out of there. So yeah, I broke a really expensive phone repair, trying to replace like a $10 part. Yay! So yeah, that was fun. So I gotta order back up again and fix that. So that'll be a nice and order it up and hope the new camera that they put in there is usable and going to work. Because yeah, that's just stupid. Alright. I thought the black would be a good color choice to accentuate the red on here, which it is, but the black stripes here are starting to fade into it, so I'm not quite sure how to get that to be noticed, or well, not blend in the background as much. I'll probably put in some different colors. Maybe we could work with purple, orange, something Halloweeny. It's not going to be just a solid black canvas. That's really boring in and of itself, but maybe something a bit more, maybe like weird spooky faces in the background or something. Just maybe like floating pumpkins everywhere. Hey, I think that's almost. Let's just mop back here. But this tail bit here, I have it conceptually. I have the tail falling out the other side of the dress, as opposed to just kind of sticking through it. That's my logistical explanation for it. We'll find out. Hell of a lot of black, just all over the place, man. I guess today just isn't my day. Alright, but that's what I got so far. It's not looking too bad. One of the weird things I keep noticing is what I see and what the camera sees tend to be pretty different at times. Like I see a pretty just kind of average, like from this red to this pink and purple. It's a bit harder to pick up on, but on the camera it picks it up really well. So it's kind of fascinating seeing just like how things work like that. Sorry, I'm cleaning up my brush because that's apparently proper brush procedure. Clean it off. Don't let the paint dry on it. And stuff like that. Good enough. Alright, so next topic. I think I'm gonna go with some of the white frills under dress. I'm trying to address that. Maybe break up the colors a bit more. So that'll be a smaller brush, which probably let's go with you. It looks to be. She's got white on here, basically on the edges of her dresses. Okay. I also do have that aspect, which is black. So let's see if I can. I gotta pull up a bigger picture. Give me one moment. Alright, so we've got black. I have altered it slightly. The character needed a bit of it. But I want to try my hand slightly at customizing some of this. And then I just crisscross normally. Because one of the things I really do want to work towards is being able to create something that isn't there, that isn't an exact copy. Something I really want to focus on. Oh, also, well, there we go. Give me one moment. Where did my white go? There it is. I've been looking around and I wanted to try looking into digital art. Just, it was an idle thought and I wanted to try and pursue it a little. One moment. And so, well, give me a sec. Is that any better for the glare? Maybe, I can't quite tell. Hello, you can see my face in there. So yeah, it's one of the things I was looking for was a art program where I could just mix colors like traditionally and not just pick them off of some big old random chart. And so I looked into it, and apparently there's a program called Krita, Krita, which is a free open source program, which is really cool. I'm kind of all for open source stuff, even though it tends to be very slow going and not really the or really the best of things, but it's a good direction to go into. Anyway, they have some differing options. I might give them a shot. I'm curious to see how I would do with digital art. Not that I'm giving up painting, but I figure that could be an interesting one to follow up on. I might do that in my spare time, should I have some. This would be different. But, yeah, and it was also one of the things I wanted to try and focus on, something that I'm not used to, a new endeavor, something that could work out. I'm sorry, just kind of blathering. There's also a big thing on frills for dresses and such. I've honestly never paid too much attention to them over the course of my life. They're just kind of frills, and they are what they are for the most part. But ever since I started sewing and like a more in-depth look at a lot of characters and artwork and how things work, frills are actually kind of a fascinating little addition. Blanking on the actual terminology for what a frill is, but it's basically a bunched up little piece of clothing at the edge of a something or other, a seam, I guess. And in order to make one, it's actually kind of fascinating. Because this skirt part here, this is relatively smooth, but then this frilled part is an excess of cloth that's been bunched up in a very specific way to get it to look like that. It's very simple, but also pretty dynamic for how it functions, which is kind of cool. And I like that aspect of it, and ever since I've started to do this clothing stuff, I've paid a bit more attention to some of that stuff. Not a hell of a lot more, but I've noticed things that I wouldn't have otherwise. And I kind of do appreciate being able to just see more of the world that way. Alright, this part's gonna be weird, so let's actually start this way. And see, this is an example of good attention to detail. Because right here in this artwork, instead of just having a frill that just like follows like one for one all the way across, right here they've got the frill coming up and folding in on itself because it's in the middle of a curve, which is really, really accurate to what it should be. And I like that. These odd little details like that. Attention to detail is so fascinating. And a mark of somebody who actually does want to pay attention and understands their craft a bit better. And since my painting isn't quite as detailed as that, I'm not able to. I'm gonna have to skip over some of it, simply because I can't get that fine of a detail on the canvas. Well, this scale anyway. Yeah, one of the tricks a lot of the famous artists back in the day did, it wasn't really a trick, but just something they did, was they had a big canvas, and all the small details were easier to do on it. It wasn't an illusion to make things look better than they were. It was just simply, it's a lot easier this way, man, type of thing. But yeah, I've seen in a lot of character drawings, generally like anime is a good place where a lot of people do shortcut work. And I don't blame them for like animation wise, because those guys have like horrendous deadlines to work up, but they'll just like skip over a lot of things because they're able to, and they can't afford to slow down in production of whatever. But yeah, in like animation, it's just like 1/60th or 1/30th of a frame, so you're not going to see the little detail here, so just make it simple and go, right? I don't blame them for that, but it's when they're able to go in and put in that little detail that it means a little bit more, and it's that much more impressive because of it. So yeah, there's also and then there's the weird line of like between style and laziness, because there's a lot of other artworks out there that this is just my style. Fair enough, you can have a style that looks like something, but then you can also tell that they were being lazy about it. And one odd little part of that is like when anime characters have a mouth that they're looking sideways, and like the mouth is like right here, indented in the face, and they have like cheeks sticking out the side, something like the inner mouth. That's not how the human body works, but it's a simplified way of drawing something. So is that a style or laziness? It's an odd choice, and sometimes the distinction gets blurred because of it, which is alright. It doesn't have to be just one or the other. Hybrids are a thing. Alright. But yeah, little details, they're fun to sit and get lost in. You can also get too lost in the little details, and I've seen that happen with a lot of good artworks. Because I have wallpapers, desktops, that most of mine tend to be just interesting artworks I found from online, browsing forums. Oh hey, that's a neat picture, or character art from a tabletop game, something like that. And I just plop it in. But there's this weird state where because one of the other things is I like having more than just a character. Like for instance, if this were finished, the character was all drawn out and they just a black background, it's okay, nothing great about it, but the background would be too simple. I wouldn't quite like it like that. Even if the character was okay, it'd be kind of one of those, it's alright, but that background's gonna bug me. But then you have the flip side, where they put in like so many tiny details that they actually overpower the actual artwork that they're focusing on, if it wasn't the background. Like one example is like really big cityscapes or something, where they have like a character here, and they have like the skyscraper and building and like all the little people and little bush and the sidewalk and whatever, but they have that all throughout, and it's just such a dense picture that I tend to shy away from it because it's too busy. So finding that balance between like not enough detail and too much detail is kind of fascinating to me, and it's something I kind of want to work towards and be able to work on. And the more I do this art stuff, the more I realize I really probably could do a fair amount of this for a living. Though, to be honest, particularly with painting, I'm not sure what I would need to charge for this, because I haven't kept track of any of the costs for this. I paid a lot for the paint, but that's about it. I don't know how much per painting I've had to use or had to waste to make it, so I don't know what the price would be. Hell, I don't even know what the price of a painting is. Where would you even buy a painting? Because yeah, where would you even buy one? Because I've got like thrift stores, well, not a pawn shop, but yeah, thrift stores, where they have some that people have made that likely somebody was cleaning out somebody's house that moved out or passed away, and they came across some paintings and they donated them to the thrift store to try and have somebody else enjoy them. Or you have like a professional artist website. It's kind of the only places I know of. Maybe Etsy, eBay, but that seems odd. Etsy might work. Huh. I don't know. But yeah, well, if you don't mind me picking your brain for a bit, what would you pay for like one of these paintings I've got? If it was one you actually wanted, like Beatrice or something. I'm not gonna charge you. I'm just trying to figure out what people would pay for that, because that's always been my Achilles heel with a lot of business endeavors. Is I treat everything very rigid. I treat things like this part costs $5, that part costs $10, therefore your total cost is $15. But you can't do that with art. Art is kind of subjective. So what do you pay for that? Because like I think it's like $5 something for the canvas, something really cheap for what I had here, and then the paint, but it's like $6 to $15. It varies for all the paint, but then I only use like, this is my red, but I've got this entire tube and I've only ever used this much on the short end of it. So how much paint is this like $2 worth of paint? Do I do that per tube? What do I do? And it's like, how do you calculate that? I don't know. Yeah, the business endeavors is always account for your costs and then charge for time. I guess I do it that way. But I'm still learning and I don't quite put as much time into it as I could. But well, maybe I could figure it out that way. I don't know. It's just these are some of the things I think about. Because this could be a source of income for me, which would be helpful when I move out. But I don't know. I'll probably give it a shot to, when I move out, try and sell some of my stuff. See if I can, at the very least. I've got time and the ability to. I think that's about it for this section of frill. Alright. But it is fun just doing all these little details. And one of the things I definitely noticed on this picture is, again, how Gaap's clothes are really pushing the limit on what's decent, I guess is one way to put it. Because her dress is really close to that gap there. And apparently, one sec, trying to get the right, you can't even see that shit. I need a new light source. Because the light I've got is directly above us. And there's no way I can change that. And one that's off to the side over there. Which is why the shadow is straight down. Well, if I do that, maybe I should put up a shadow. I might look into that. Just for the time being, have like maybe a sheet up there to diffuse the light. But yeah, you get a little bit of shade on there, and it looks a lot better. That's all flushed out. And that's, you can actually see the scribbles I have on the page. Oh well, we'll sort it out. There's something to work on in the weekend, I guess. Yeah, you can't, you just, well, maybe I could cheat it. Give me a second. Turn that off. That looks okay. We'll go with that. That's a bit better. Hello. And pull up my pictures reference again, and there we are. We're looking at the... that one. Yeah, like white on pale yellow is really hard to see actually, but it is a part of the frill, so maybe I should start with the bottom end. I'll start here. Really, it's kind of fascinating just how your eye picks up certain things, like certain colors. Like here on the black, the white kind of stands out. Here, the white does not. I'm using the same color and putting it in different areas, and it's fascinating seeing just the interaction between it all. Okay, that was that one. I'm trying to keep my place with like these random placed frills here. Seems kind of silly, but I want to try and be methodical in it. Accurate. That is one thing I always try and strive for, is accuracy. Which I guess is part of the reason that I take so long for shit. Because I'm always trying to get it to look like it should be, like it is, rather than what it could be or potentially. Probably gonna need an outline for this one. The other aspect is, I think this one is different. I'm treating it, it's roughly the same, but I'm treating it differently. It's weird. I can't quite explain it. I'm betting the frills I've got are too small. Not quite as big as they are in the reference image. Well, I was stuck on that train of thought of like charging for art. Because there's always the thought process, I'm not good enough. So I am, like, I can't really deny it, I am good enough. Hell, I know of people who have sold shit that is worse than I can make. Like, legitimately, I can't make something as bad as they have. I've seen some, mostly like deviant art tier, what have you. And so, well, we'll work with that. I need to redo some of that aspect. But yeah, it's like, if you ever need to feel confident in your own abilities, look at the worst of the worst and realize you're actually not that bad off. And I've seen that time and again, and I think, especially with these paintings and some of the ones I've done a bit more recently, it's really starting to hit me that I'm actually good enough for a lot of it. There's still room for improvement, absolutely. There's absolutely always room for improvement. And that's one of the things I'm striving for. But I'm starting to think I could actually do pretty good. I do know my flaws. I'm basically good for like 80% of the body. I can do from like feet to the chest, and that's most of the body I'm good at. As you can see, that's what I've put down. And it's the arm and the face that I always have trouble with. If I can get over those hurdles, I could confidently take on commission work and such. Yeah, you know what? I need to work towards that. But then it always falls down to prices. What am I going to charge people for this stuff? I don't quite know how to do that one. That's always been one of the downfalls for me, because I don't charge enough for myself. And I know that I've done that many times before. That's not finished, so we'll leave that be. That is a pink, so they can work on that and the shoes next, because those are, well, the shoes are slightly brighter, but this one's very, very pink. I could. Give me a sec. Yeah, no. I'll just keep the same. I'm thinking of an odd little possibility there. Great. This is... Let's work on the other one first. I can actually see that shit. Alright, so there's... Oh. This is small frills. like I said before, like starting with a big canvas and working on a smaller one. Like for instance, this one, working in digital art form, for example. I could like zoom in right here and then work on fine detail. I can't quite zoom in real life. I could put in magnifying glass, but I actually haven't ever really needed a magnifying glass. Except in being like micro soldering shit. That's where I can still technically see it, but not as fine of a detail. It's weird being nearsighted, because I can see a lot of detail quite well without needing much of anything else. And it's like all these magnifying glasses and like jeweler's glasses, things like that. I can use them and they're neat, but I've always been able to see very fine details, and I've never needed assistance on that stuff. It's weird. I don't quite know how to explain it. Yeah, to like read the fine print that people struggle with, I take my glasses off. Now, on the flip side, everything like 2 feet away from my face starts to get fuzzy if I take my glasses off. Which means I will always need the glasses to see anything at any sort of distance. But I'm okay with that. I've lived with glasses my whole life. Most of my life, anyway. But it is what it is. This probably should not have been a perfect curve. This part could have, but there should have been like a little bit of a something there. Oh, I'll worry about it later. Worry about it later. Because yeah, it's like, for instance, this aspect, this part here, it's just white. It's a very fine outline on Gaap's pale skin, and yeah, for you to even like really see any of this white I'm putting on, I would need to put an outline around it. That's gonna be interesting. You know what? I don't necessarily have to use just paint. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna experiment with that. Let me finish off these little flecks of paint here. Now, I'm gonna try that, give that a shot. They do call it mixed media for a reason. Let's see how that goes. Let's experiment a little. See where we can take this. Well, that might be a bit of a help. Overlapping it into the red some, so that it has a bit more contrast than just on the. Yeah, that works out a little bit better. Little bit. It's all these little details that do make a little bit of a difference. Even in the camera, I can start to see a little bit of a pattern there, as opposed to just focusing it all on the edge, like I had been. Right. I think that's most of it, other than the gloves or the sleeve ruffles, which would be here behind the tail and here on the hand that does not exist yet. Okay, so I want to try something. See how it turns out. It would have to depend on if the paint is dry yet or not. And it is. Okay. Alright. Let's see if I can do it. I've got a micro pen. Let's see if I can make a little outline for it. How it'll fare. If I don't like it, I can always just paint right back over it. That makes it look a lot better. That's one of the reasons I like outlines. They help differentiate between a lot of different shapes and aspects. Not quite sure if you guys can pick up on. Oh no, you can kind of, depending on what resolution you guys get. That's possible to pick up, I think. Alright, so that's working out pretty good. One of the other things, yeah, that's actually looking up really well. One of the things I've started doing is I've got this little art notebook I've got. Sketchbook, I guess is a proper term for it, maybe. Yeah. That one's going to be a bit weird. There we are. Alright, and you would kind of looks like that, I guess. But I've got the, here, I'll put it up. It's this little sketchbook I've got here. And I've been doodling in it. And I've started to do sketches in ink. And that's one thing I've always shied away from. I've always done things in pencil because I could erase it and come back to it. But with ink, you can't erase. You have to go all the way through. Try to double flip the picture. And it's been interesting. I've started to do just completely arbitrary random things and just kind of flow. I have no idea what this is. It's just mindless doodle scribbles. Little interesting patterns and designs. Just random shit. There's no meaning to any of it. I'm just, yeah, see it, just random little shit. And what's fascinating is I've started to really appreciate just the aspect of doing it. With no real fear or apprehension that I might screw it up and I'll have to redo it. Just go along with it. and just start working with just a permanent thing. There's no real take backs. That's what happens in life. And that just the simple act of working with a pen has been really instrumental in that. Because also before I've often just wondered, how do people with like pens just like not worry about like screwing things up? How do they get it so perfect? Well, they don't. The simple answer is they don't. They don't worry about messing up. They do to an extent, but they're not overly concerned like, oh my god, this is final, this is permanent, I can't screw it up. They just sit there and do it and live with the consequences or the rewards of what they've done. So that's what they do. Well, that's what I imagine they do, because I've seen some videos of people doing like artwork in pen and they just do it, and they always have like a bit of casualness to it all, but and there we go. I've got a good set of frills just right there. Let's see how this one will do. I'm pretty sure this one will. I screwed it up there. I know I did. There we go. I fixed it. One of the other aspects I tend to focus on like all these little tiny details. All these, like, every bit is important, and if I screw up this one little piece, the whole thing is ruined. Oh no. But in actuality, it's not quite all that serious. It's like right here, I've got a patch of white in a spot it really shouldn't be, but I can fix that. I can go do it over. And I don't have any frills over here. Alright. This is actually pretty fascinating. I'm inking on a canvas. Because I do also have the odd mindset that I've had it for a long time. I don't quite know why, but the painting has to be done with paint. A wood sculpture has to be done with entirely wood. A clay sculpture is only made of clay. Pencil drawing is only done in pencil, type of thing. I've always had an aversion to using alternate mediums in a work, which is just kind of self-defeating. And if it works, why don't you use it? If it's something that'll help, why are you shying it away from yourself? I found it makes things a lot harder when you do things like that. So I'm trying to slowly introduce new ideas and concepts and stepping outside of my comfort zone, which isn't really helping me too much. I'm just kind of seeing where life takes me. Currently it's Texas, and that's way the hell out of my comfort zone, but also not, so it's what it is. okay. Maybe I can go do some outlining on the rest of this today. I don't know. We'll see where the day takes us. We'll see where it goes. Yeah, see, this is one of those examples of I would have tried to do this with a brush, which would have been just ridiculous. Hi. And there we are. See if I can get a non-glared version of it. There we are. It looks a hell of a lot better with those thin, clean little lines. I'm actually kind of amazed at that, honestly. So what else can we work on? It's kind of new territory, new field. So let's see where it goes. Bear with me. Can't tell if I'm on the camera or not. Yeah, that's definitely a very hard color to pick out. I really do need a new light source. I really, really do. Alright, so there's a bow. Alright, and then they've got always liked the a good ink artwork. They are very clean, very nicely done. They had a lot to it. It's kind of hard to fully explain, but well, you guys already know. Let's see the leg as well. Sorry, it's just really hard to see the pink and the red difference. Might not have been the best choice of color, but should shift over to pens. That might be an interesting that- I need to redo that color scheme there. Alright. And then over here, this leg. I'm probably gonna have to redo this line when I paint it. Need a tail behind it. Alright. And there's that. I'm just kind of like blown away by how much these little lines here have made the colors stick out that much more. It's just one tiny, very, very thin little black line that's changed the entire feel of this painting. It's kind of crazy. It's just weird. It's not going to do much on a black outline on a black background, but holy shit, it's really blowing me away, man. That's a good pen. Alright, so on to the next one. Let's work at the tail, because that's a big one, so I'll have to pull up this one, pull this over, and we will need a pale pink, which will be some more white. Alright, so let's go with you here. Probably a bit. Oh. We'll figure it out. And it's... Let's go with the lizard. I think that might be... We can try some of the yellow. Try and get it a bit more in that spectrum. One moment, cleaning up my palette knife here. Alright. So let's go with red here. Try and mix it up. Smidge more red. Alright, there we go. It's gonna be perfect, trust me. It's gonna be the absolute color I need immediately. Because I'm just that awesome. Or something. It's close. Might need shade darker. But that is the color we need. Now, to be honest, I'm not overly fond of the color pink. It has its uses, but I think it gets overused a lot. Especially when, like, you know, some of those people who are just pink everything. Everything is pink. And that's not normal. Well, there is technically no normal, so I don't really have anything to stand on there, but it just strikes me as very odd to have everything pink or everything purple. Because you have to have, well, you don't have to, but having a difference in value, difference in color, difference in just things is very important, at least to me. So it's I'm thinking about, I'm starting to question, do I have different value in like things I've got? Because recently I've started looking into just the way I do things, how I go about certain tasks and such. And one of the things I started keying on was my shirts. I haven't bought a new shirt in years. Well, the exception being the ones I bought in Germany for a commemorative reason. But I haven't actually gone out and bought a new shirt, and I honestly couldn't tell you the last time other than Germany. And it struck me as odd. I just kind of have same old, same old. And I've stuck with it. What brought this up was because the other day I put on one of my favorite shirts. It was a yellow shirt I got at a bridge building competition. And I realized I got that shirt in high school. I got that, I think it was junior or senior year. Which was, what was it? 09 is when I graduated. So I've been wearing that shirt for 11 years. At least. And it struck me as I don't get new clothes, I don't get new things, I don't branch out all that often. But for one thing, I don't really need to. As the case with the shirt, I'm fine with having the same thing for over a decade. But it got me thinking, should I? Should I be okay with just having the same old day in, day out? Because that is what's driving me to move. Things aren't quite any different. Things aren't quite, there's nothing new that comes into my life much. This stream is honestly one of the few things where new things happen. I get new paintings, I get new stories, I get new people to run into. And I've started looking into it, and it's like the need for something new, something different. It's actually really powerful. I realized that a lot of my life has been the same. Just play it safe, do the same thing, and it'll all work out. Technically, yes, but you miss out on so much of life by doing that. So, looking at the shirt, I began to wonder, what else in my life have I been just coasting by on? Give me a moment. Touch up this bit here. That'll be okay. Do a bit more, but paint. Yeah, brush off, clean off the brush for a sec. Need a bit more white. Alright. Mixing paint is kind of a relaxing thing to do. It's a bit stressful with acrylic because it goes so fast. You have to use it, otherwise it dries up. Apparently with oils it takes a lot less time, a lot more time to dry up. And there's this one video I watched where they had an acrylic painter and an oil painter paint the same thing and just compare what they thought of each other on it. It was a fun, there wasn't any negativity in it. It was just them seeing the differences between the styles. And one line that stuck out to me was the oil painter considered it like the acrylic guy seemed to be having a sprint, while the oil artist was having more of a marathon. And it was just kind of fascinating seeing that. And yeah, I can definitely feel that, because the paint just like dries on the brush sometimes, especially for the smaller ones. And this shade is not the same color. Needs less white, strangely enough. So more red. Hey. Less red? I don't know. We'll see this. Closer. This is one of the big problems with having to mix colors, not being able to get all of them the same. Right. Always these like edge cases which are really focus. Just get these down right there. I still need to do a lot of shading on this one, but that shouldn't be overly difficult. I'm more concerned about the background. It's currently nothing there. So, what do we do? I think I'll work on that one off stream. Toss around some ideas, bat them around, see what comes up. I really need a smaller palette. I like the glass idea, but it's too big. So I have actually ordered a smaller one, but I probably actually still need smaller still. Just kind of a one I can just shove off into the corner, and not one that takes up the whole painting. I could potentially also have like multiple ones. That might be a interesting way to go about it. Just a couple small little mixing plates scattered around. That could work. Alright. Fill in color around this white. Alright. Alright. Hey. It's really easy just sit here and glop on paint for like all these big old empty spaces. It's always the fine detail that'll start catching you. Like right at the edges. They're also the most part we have to pay the most attention. Very particular bits. Alright. And it's not in camera anymore. And this character's tail is very, very poofy. Very, very much so. And I'm not quite sure how to handle it, honestly. Other than doing what I can here. I also don't quite like how I've set it up. She's kind of floating in space, and her tail should technically be on the same level as her foot, which it's not. That bugs me, but already this far in. I can technically fix that up, but this one, I don't know. Apparently I've been doing a lot of like in nowhere portraits, paintings and such. Alright, so it's also got like tufts occasionally. So how would I go about doing that? Alright. The paint goes fast. There we are. There. Okay. And there's that. There's that. Alright. No. Just I think I'm gonna call it after I get this tail pasted up. Pretty good work, and I'm actually quite proud of what I've done, but just I'm not feeling it right now today, and apparently neither are you guys. So just yeah. Give me a minute and I'll finish up, and I think I'm going to call it. But yeah, I do like that I've figured out that pen thing. I might be able to touch up some of the older paintings because of it. I was going to finish up Beatrice's painting after I got through this one. This one has a deadline, so it's not going to be a endless portrait. Sometimes the paint dries really quickly, and sometimes it just lasts forever. I don't quite know why. Alright, so let's go. Let's go. Alright, so I think that'll just about do it. That'll just about do it then. A couple of the missing spots, but yeah. And I think that'll do it for today. How many times can I say that? Just keep finding a little bit more, just to touch up. But yeah, so I'm gonna call it a little early, and I'm glad I found out that pen. That just, I still can't describe to you how kind of shocked I am that that happened. And just so easily, so simply, and it looks a hell of a lot better than anything I could have done with a brush. I might have to focus on ink at some point. Can't really do it here in town because there's like literally those pens are the only thing we have to use other than Walmart brand shit, which I'm not even gonna touch. I don't want to touch Walmart. But this is what I've got so far, and it's actually not too bad. The tail fills out the background really nicely. I think I could probably put like some stripe colors or something in the background to make it a bit more focal point over here, make it flow a bit more. I don't know, I'll figure it out. I'll play with it around over the weekend. Anybody still hanging around? See you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.